Sauce.
Hey, you like Pez?
It looks like that. Here's Heaney from the boundary line. He's an expert at these. From the boundary line!
Hello and welcome to Behind the Boundary podcast. I'm your host, Pez. I'm here with Sauce. We have just completed round one. We are heading into round two of the AFL season. Some big news stories during the week and some news stories that got a lot of media attention that we don't really want to touch on because I think they're just trying to make up time, Sauce.
Welcome back, Pez. I think you're completely right, and that sort of alludes to the tribunal. Not going to be mentioned tonight because I feel like every week last year that was the main story, whether it was, whether they were happy with it, whether they weren't happy, whether they're going to challenge. End of the day, the tribunal's the tribunal. No one's ever happy. Let's move on. Let's talk about the big stories of the week, Pez. And the most important thing was, Pez, AFL, they got it right. They had a really, really great competitive round one opening of 2022.
Yeah, we spoke about it with the closeness in the odds last week of how the teams were so close, and we had a few close games. We had a couple of blowouts, but we'll speak about that more later in the show with the blowouts. But we had a big blowout in the press conference of the first game, Source, where Luke Beveridge just decided to go off and try and kick a journalist out of the thing. Tom Morris is the one we're speaking about. He stood his ground. Said Fox Footy is going to back him until his mates from his group chat leaked what he was saying, which I'm just going to say this before you speak, Sauce. I don't know why he's recording his voice in the boys' group chat, why he wouldn't just write a text or something, but inexcusable. And he got stood down and then he got fired when his second video, which included racism, actually came out. So no real winners out of that little biff after game one.
Do you know what, Pez? You're right. There are no winners, but there are a few. There is actually a small winner in it, and that has to be Luke Beveridge because after his little sort of dummy spit, and that's what it was, he didn't like the fact that Tom Morris continually asked questions after there had been a leak. It's the second time in as many games/weeks that he's blown up, and I think he's more upset, obviously, that there's a leak at the Bulldogs somewhere. And what I didn't like about it is the fact that he's gone after someone who's doing their job. Now, the comments that he's made after, let's address the first part. No way should anyone be treated like that when they're doing their job. His job is to report the news. His job is to, find information first and report it. Every single journalist would have done that. Bevo was saying there needs to be a courtesy in terms of asking and say, like, hey, I'm going to run this story. Are you okay with it? I don't think that there's that need for a common courtesy. The second part is Tom Morris's comments. What I don't like about it is, again, what you said, Pez. He shouldn't be recording his voice. But what I really don't like about it is those comments came out Saturday morning, and in that video clip, in the photo from that group message, you look in the background, and it's referring to the Big Bash, the Strikers versus, I think it was the Renegades or someone like that, which means someone has been holding on to that, ready to drop. And that's what I don't like about it. As soon as he was in a bit of hot stick, boom, that gets out there. Let's be very clear here, Pez. The real loser out of this is the person that he was talking about. Like, it's not on. No one should have to be talked about like that in that sort of manner. Either sort of those social groups that he's talking about after. He'd be spewing with his mates, not the way to perform in a group chat. As you said, why are you recording it? Dumb. Absolutely dumb. So I think there's no real winners, but I guess, the sort of deflection by Beveridge after these comments had come out, he's probably the only way you could have a winner, but inappropriate, unprofessional on all behalves.
Yeah, so my thoughts from the first go, and this is before Tom Morris's video came out, I thought Beveridge was a little bit out of line because you shouldn't speak to someone like that in a workplace. I feel like he attacks Tom Morris. I personally believe that Tom Morris is a grub, and this is before the things. I don't like the way he goes about it, the smugness he has on the TV and the way he reports things and posts on Twitter. So I don't like Tom Morris, but I was in the realm of defending him. But I wouldn't go out and write on Twitter like every single journalist. I've seen every single journalist on Wednesday night back Tom Morris, defend Tom Morris, and then when the videos Tom Morris came out and he got the sack, didn't hear anything from those journalists. Didn't hear him mention it. Fox Footy took a couple of days to mention it as well. So it was poor form from a journalism standpoint because, yes, you're reporting on the news, your mate's gone down, you're going to back him, but then your mate's, he's been leaked that He's very disrespectful towards women. He's racist towards different groups, and yet you haven't come out and reported on that. So I feel like it was poor. I feel like Beveridge did the right thing to apologise, and I feel like Beveridge chose the wrong spot to do it, because Tom Morris actually didn't do anything wrong that week. What Tom Morris had done wrong was a big lead up the previous year, and making mates and having a leak with inside the Bulldogs, which Luke Beveridge got fed up with. He hit the boil and just went off at Tom Morris in the exact wrong spot. But Beveridge is going to move on, and hopefully, Tom Morris isn't going to move on from losing that. And everyone's talking about second chances, but I think he had his chance and he's dug his own grave.
Yeah, he's dug his own grave, and Pez, I bet you he won't give his mates a second chance. Whoever's leaked that from his group, you look at the different nicknames in that group, and that's just not on either. So I think on all parts it was, I think the word grub was the right word in the end when those comments came out. But Pez, the word grub is the only reference on there is how sloppy it was. It's sloppy by Beveridge for having that sort of abuse, someone doing his job. Sloppy by Morris in making those comments and creating a digital trail. That's absolutely dumb by him in his profession. But it's even so naive to still have some of those thoughts and those opinions and those views. And everyone in this situation needs to be more professional, and I really empathise with the person that the comments came out. It's really poor that that female journalist was attacked by like that. It's really disgusting that those minority groups were sort of those comments were made. It's just not on. And in this day and age, I feel that we are a lot more progressive in football, and it's a shame that we're opening up after a great round of footy talking about this rubbish.
Yeah, so let's not talk about it anymore. There are our views. And we move on from it. The most professional thing about round one was the start of the loser competition source, with lots of people waiting till just a few seconds before the bounce to get their final loser tip in. It was very, very stressful, that
Pez,
game.
I felt like either a bookie just before a race or some sort of explicit sort of drug dealer. I was at my nephew's first birthday and my phone was going off its hook with late entrants, people chasing me. I was on the phone to you, and people at the gathering are sort of like, oh, it's unusual that he's working that late. Like, wow, people, be a bit more organised. Like, there was a couple of tips that almost didn't get in, but I lent on our intern Pez, who's obviously been helping you out with the social media manager. But poor form on you, Pez. You jumped out a couple of times and offered some help, and it's the first time you've offered some help, and I was very accepting of the help, but I didn't have any faith because you've never done it before, and I appreciate you highlighting the little group there, but outside of that, it was very stressful, and I'm glad it all got there, but very, very stressful.
Mate, it just pulled through in the end, under pressure, ready to go. I didn't expect the extra 10 entries in the last 30 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
But it was good. Prize money's up over life-changing money, $1,100 sourced to the winner. So hopefully those of you that are listening that are in the competition go from there. 17 of them, source, had 18 teams to choose from to lose. Got it wrong, round one.
Yeah, a lot of people were a little bit unlucky with your Saints not performing their pairs. A few people had Collingwood. A few people had the Suns with that sort of topsy-turvy game. And,
the Blues was the other one. Yeah.
The Blues, yeah. The Blues is the upset. So, and that's what happens. Round one's always got a few little upsets there, Pez. But better for the rest of the people in the losers comp. Make sure that you get that tip in hopefully before maybe not just 10 minutes before the bounce. Give me a little bit of time to be able to get up that amazing graphic sent out.
Mate, the email says literally like 1 minute before the bounce. So if that's what the email says, that's what we have to go by. And I'm sure the intern will help out in the first game of the round. Let's head into one of our favourite things to do here at Behind the Boundary, which is our segments. And the first time we're going to use this segment for the year source.
It was a toss of the coin.
That five wins the toss.
Yes, it's been an unusual year for coin tosses.
Yeah, straight into coin toss for the year, Pairs, and I always have to watch myself when saying it because BT stuffs it up in the commentary that we've got there, and I reckon I get close every time. But for people who are not sure about it, what we do, Pairs, is we offer up a couple of different options of, for example, who had the better game, who was the biggest loser, and it's a toss of the coin. You can only pick one. Okay, now, as we know, behind the boundary here, we run things a little bit differently. So sometimes there is a 3-sided coin, sometimes there's a 4-sided coin.
Oh,
but
we love the 3-sided coins.
we love the 3-sided coin, Pez, and I think we should start things off with something that's a little bit closer to your heart, unfortunately, Pez, but it was one of the big stories over the weekend, is who had the better coaching debut. We talk about first with Vossi coaching the Blues to a 25-point victory over the Richmond, the first time in over 10 years that Carlton has won one of their opening 2 games. Or we go to Craig McRae, who had a surprising victory against your Saints, Pairs, a 17-point victory. It's a whole different sort of game plan and more of an attacking brand of football, and a very, very up and about Collingwood faithful, making Marvel Stadium sound like an absolute soundbox, Pairs. So, coin toss. You can only pick one, Pairs, and try and leave your heart at home with the Saints.
This is an easy one, mate. Vossi all the way for Carlton. They really struggled in that first quarter, only kicking the 1 goal. Richmond had 4 goals, 5, plenty of opportunities and could have put it out further. But Carlton, clawed their way back. They had 4 goals to 0 in that second quarter there. And then Richmond were 15 points up at 3-quarter time, Source. And whatever Vossi said to the troops, they kicked 7 goals, 5 to 1 goal, 1 in that last quarter to absolutely come over the top. I've never seen Carlton supporters like that in my memory of watching football. The Carlton supporters were up and about at the MCG, and afterwards, a lot of them actually thought they'd won the grand final, so didn't know what it felt like to win a big game with a big crowd at the MCG. But Vossi, he did it, Source. Not only his first game at Carlton, hadn't won in 10 years in the first 2 rounds, as you said, he had COVID. He did it while he had COVID as well, so props to him.
Yeah, trying to pull out the sickness card there, Pez. Have to disagree completely, and I knew that you were going to go with Vossi because you couldn't admit that the Craig McRae victory was a good one because you were in absolute devastation. Got absolute donuts back from you when I was messaging you, Pez, at the football. It has to be McRae, Pez. What I like about this game is they led wire to wire. St Kilda were unable to lead at any quarters. They got off to that fast start, Collingwood, and they looked good. They looked really good. Not only have they kept some of the defensive pressure that they had last year with Bucks, but they've been able to really put in an offensive sort of prowess. They had 9 different goal kickers, Pairs, and the best thing is that they're not getting it from their old faithful. They're in a dangerous situation, as we said in the preseason, where they could just sort of lean on Pendlebury and Howe and some of these older bodies, and they could be a sort of middle of the road team. Lipinski, one of their young guns, and then one of their new recruits, he had 30 in a goal. Dacos, their brand new recruit, he had 27, and then you had Degoe probably could have kicked 5. He had 27, 2 and 3 behinds, and the other Dacos, he had 21 in a goal as well. So outstanding performance from the Pies, and I know that there was a little bit of up and aboutness after with Corns calling out some of the youngsters in the with the phone saga after the game and the recording, but they're up and about, Pairs. Great victory from McRae, and it's really good to see that these new coaches come in and then they're not under the pressure straight away.
Yeah, well, impressive that he changed his game plan, but there's one reason why I couldn't pick him, and it's because of who he picked. He picked Big Coxie, Big Mason Cox. We don't like to offend people on here, but one of the most useless AFL footballers I've ever seen. And if he wasn't playing in that game, Collingwood would have won by about 70 points.
Oh, come on, Pez. He's got a bright future. That's why he's wearing the sunnies. He's got the old Robocop out there.
Yeah, well, good on him. He needs to wear I don't know what he needs to do, but the coaches down at Collingwood, I don't know if it's good for the structure because it makes them slower. I'd chuck in like a halfback flanker or a winger or another midfielder and just keep running because Collingwood, they did really well, Source. They were attacking in that first half. In the second half of the third quarter, after about 15 minutes of that third quarter, they got really, really tired, which is where the Saints kicked 5 in a row. And they weren't running, they weren't going through the middle, weren't taking risks. So you take Coxie out, you put a midfielder in, you'll be able to run for longer and you'll be a better side for it.
Yeah, straight away we're back onto why St Kilda gave up an easy victory there, Pez. Come on, mate. You got to leave those red, white and black at home and just talk the footy. Let's get on to the next coin toss.
No, we're talking all Collingwood then. I don't know what you're speaking about there, Source, trying to have a dig. But the better debutant, there was one in that game. There was Nick Dacos, who you mentioned, who had 27 disposals, played in the back line. You had Nick Martin for Essendon. He kicked 5 goals in a 66-point loss against Geelong at the MCG. And Josh Richelli, I don't know if that's how you say his name, but I just like saying it like that. And he kicked 5 in a thrilling 1-point loss to Fremantle over at Adelaide Oval. So who have you got for the better debutant? 2 kicked 5, and Dacos had his 27.
Well, I know who I can't pick, Pez. I can't pick Nick Martin, and it's not because he's against the Cats. It's because, he's going to get some of those goals because a lot of them just were out the back. There was a couple of sort of decent sort of marks here and there. 5 goals on debut, but it would have been easy to get. I would have been able to get a couple of goals the way that Essendon popped out of there. They were not present throughout the whole game. Someone had to sort of pick up the scraps, and it was good to see Nick Martin kick 5. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that every week. I was really impressed with Nick Dacos, Pez. As I alluded to, I was actually at the game Friday night. I had a bit of a saga getting in there, but it was amazing watching him live. 27 disposals, and it says that he had 20 uncontested, but a lot of those just was him starting in the pack and breaking out and coming out with it. He worked at 70% efficiency for the night. He laid 5 tackles. He had a couple of really, really important clearances from the back line that really started or slingshot the offense for Collingwood. And the impressive thing, as you said, he's playing in the back line. He had 3 score involvements. So he was able to do everything, really impressive, and he looked like he fitted the AFL system, and he didn't look out of place at all, Pez.
Did they have a discount on the alcoholic beverages down at Marvel on Friday night, Source?
Well, they didn't have a discount, Pez, but I sent you an image. They were actually selling cans, and I was able to actually have a proper can out in the footy, which I thought by halftime, with the way the Saints were playing, all the Saints fans would have started turfing them on, being the ferals that they are. But you know what? The cans survive another week, Pez.
No, well, there you go. Well, Dacos, he had a couple of big clangers in that first quarter, and a lot of his disposals were from.
That's nerves for a first gamer. Settle down there, Pez.
Were from the kick-ins, so I was a little bit devious about that. But Josh Richelli, he was up and about in the second half. That third quarter, he came out and he was on absolute fire. He was everywhere. He was kicking goals. He would have definitely been the best debutant of the week easily. But he missed a chance to kick his 6th, which would have sealed the game as well. But he looks like a lively little forward up there. So they lost Stengel over to the Cats and replaced him with a young Richelli, who won the crowd over at Adelaide. The Adelaide Crows were up and about there, and to kick 5 on debut in a 1-point loss still, I think it's better than 5 in a 66-point loss, and better than a clanger and a bit of a clanger debut, and I'll get a couple of touches from running out of the goal scorer in the back line. Dacos. So there we go, Richelli.
Yeah, on to from some debutants, Perry, to some not even the veterans pairs, some players that are actually in their prime. I talk, of course, of Petracca's incredible performance on Friday night, having 38 disposals and 2 goals. Up against Mr. Cripps, Pez, who, as we've already mentioned, they had an impressive victory against Richmond Tigers. He had 30 disposals and 3 goals. Pez, who are you going with, Cripps or Petracca?
Mate, do we have to make this the hardest coin toss ever or something? Both absolutely fantastic players. Cripps, as you said, 38 disposals, 2 goals, 1. He was everywhere around the ground. He's very explosive. So was Cripps, but Cripps was, hobbling off every now and then and getting back on. And to come from 15 points down, I don't think Melbourne were ever in danger of losing their game. So I think the more pressure in the performance was on Carlton and Petracca. And Cripps, sorry. So I think Cripps, with his 3 goals, he's burst out of the middle, and he always looks like he's exhausted when they have the camera on him and the footy's not around. But then the footy's there, and he's up and about. Ready to go. So all I hope is that these 2 players stay healthy and we're able to see them injury-free. I'm giving the better game on the weekend to Cripps. They're both going to get the 3 Brownlow votes come Brownlow night.
Yeah, Pez, after that, you're completely right. This is probably one of the tosses. This is one of the hardest toss-ups that we've had on the show, and it's good to start
Hardest
things
toss
off.
you've ever done?
No, it's normally an easy toss, Pez. Normally I don't have any problem there. But let's continue talking about Petracca, because after that Wednesday night, what was it? The AFL stupidly did the Wednesday night. After the Wednesday night, the AFL had declared that Petracca's winning the Brownlow, and you could easily accept that because he kicked off right where he left off last year. He looked amazing. You know, the little meatball in there coming out of those packs. He had 38 touches, Pez, 16 contested, and the Western Bulldogs were hanging all over him and just shoving them off. Kicked a couple of goals out the middle, a couple of unselfish ones. Pez, he had a couple of great inside 50s, but Patrick Cripps exactly the same. Pez, 30 disposals, 3 goals, but I think you've got to go with Petracca because the hype is real. And for him to back it up after that grand final and that dominance of that grand final, the Western Bulldogs would have planned for him. They didn't tag him, which is unusual, but he still just executed that game plan. He looks fitter, he looks stronger, and as you said, 3 Brownlows for both of these gentlemen, and probably the early favourite for the Brownlow winner for 2022.
Yeah, with ease. We head from the best game to the most impressive win out of these two clubs, Source. Two sides of the coin here. It was a double header on the Saturday. You've got Sydney beating GWS by 20 points in the end, or Brisbane beating Port Adelaide by 11. Which win was more impressive?
I think the more impressive win for me, Pez, was the Sydney win. I think there was a lot more pressure on Sydney. They come off of that disappointing final loss. They obviously had some redemption that they needed to show against the Giants. Disappointing end to a great season, and they were put under the pump right away. We know that the Giants have a lot of talent, Pez, and that fourth quarter when the Swans were, I think it was like 89 all or whatever, and they just came out and just absolute dominance from a couple of their young guns. But Heaney was fantastic in that last quarter. Parker, I think he kicked 4 of those last goals. Five goals and 21 disposals. Not normally his thing, but I thought the most impressive win was the Sydney Swans because they've had a better opposition that they were playing against. And I think Brisbane, realistically, they never got out of cruise control, Pairs. I feel like they always had that game, whereas the Sydney game, it was definitely a back and forth arm wrestle, and I think that's the more impressive win.
Well, mate, if you would have been comfortable there. I had Port Adelaide as my loser tip, and I was shitting bricks because I thought they were going to cough it up in the first half. Brisbane, so many easy opportunities at goal that just went begging. And I'm sitting there going, they can't still be on this 4 years later with the inaccurate goal kicking. And they've started it in round 1. They ended up kicking 11 goals, 14, and Port Adelaide 10-9. Their defense held up really well. And I just think that they had the better win because they played against the better opponent. All right. Both teams were in Sydney. I think Port Adelaide are a much better side than GWS. If you play the better opponent, there you go. If Lear doesn't drop the ball and fall over and cost his team a goal as well, could have been a different story, and Brisbane might not even be in this. So for them to bounce back, come over the line, you've got Joe Danaher who prefers to snap it. If you're a Brisbane supporter, you prefer him to snap it than to go back and have a set shot. And there's a few forwards like that, which isn't too great. You don't want them missing easy shots. So Brisbane, most impressive win for mine, but they need to improve that goal kicking accuracy.
Yeah, they definitely do, Pez. And it's, what it is? It's still that same issue that we're talking about from 3 years ago. I agree that that you could have taken either team for this, but I think that, we're not going to go into too much detail, but they really need to address it because it could have been an easier victory, and that's why I've went with Sydney's because they were in control of this game. All they needed to do was had better entries into their forward line, not just snap around the body, do the we thing before the me thing, and not make dumb decisions. That Joe Danaher snap at that halftime to go in at halftime up was one of the dumbest things, and it shows the arrogance. And, he ended up with, 4-3 and could have had 5-3. Like, they're easy shots. They need to address that throughout the season, and we both picked them as, the team to go all the way this year, and that's one thing they need to address. So, yeah, great toss-up for the first week, Bez.
Well, there we go. There's the coin toss, and that's the first time we've used it in 2022. We'll continue to use segments to talk about the news in the AFL. But now we get into the best part of the show, Source. We get into our betting review.
Soft review, it's no official review. How does it end? We don't know. They've kind of lost, but they've won as well.
Here we are, Source. Betting review, first one for the season. Now we've bragged about being 4+ years in the green, in the profit, and nothing changed for me this week, Source. but you look a little red there on the Zoom call, yeah?
No, not a little red, Pez. Just like Brisbane, the best team in it. I like to just take my time and just a little bit of inaccuracy early on, Pez, but I'll get that together and I'll come home strong, just like the Lions.
Geez, you weren't taking your time with bang, bang off the Wednesday, Thursday, bang, bang, 2 big wins, and then couldn't buy one for the rest. So let's have a look at round 2 source. So where we went wrong, where we went right. I staked $185 out of the 200 max, and I stayed within the rules source. I returned $243.75, which we'll speak about, for an ROI of 31.75%, which I love to be around the 30% mark for an ROI. That's very, very healthy.
Yeah, very, very healthy, Pez. That's somewhere about where I ended up last year, actually. No, that was where I was towards the end of the year. The real final of the year, I was up about 40%. So that's nice and very cute for you to be paying.
I reckon you might have been up 3%.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I must have missed that decimal. For me, as you said, I had an absolute cracker for the first couple of games, and I won my $202 all there and then, Pez, and then went a couple of donuts for the rest of it. But I staked 210, just falling outside of those rules there with my little cheeky that I forgot to add to the last minute, and returned, as I said, 202. So unfortunately, I swapped it around from the end of the year to the start of the year, minus 3.5%. The reigning champion always has a bit of a handicap, Pez, so I thought I'd just set that up because we did start on 0, so starting off with a minus 3.5% is a good little handicap for me.
Look, you never, as a punter, punters know, you never mean to lose money, Source, so stop trying to talk your way around it. Let's just get through the games nice and quick here. We've got Melbourne versus Bulldogs. I had a 3-leg same-game multi, didn't come up. I got a bonus bet because if my bet didn't win, I got a bonus. I used it the next night on the Richmond game, and that didn't come through either. So lost 50 and lost the bonus there.
Yeah, I went I was pretty confident in this one, Pez. The Western Bulldogs plus 27.5. That was probably the only league that actually looked in doubt with the last couple of kicks when they sort of let Melbourne take over. Adam Traore, he kicked a goal early in that second quarter when they were absolutely rampaging and took the front. And Bailey Dale, he got his 20 disposals pretty comfortably as well. So
you could have had Chalor for 2 goals and Bailey Dale for 25. You would have been all right.
I would have been, a little bit nicer. Maybe I wouldn't have been in the red if I'd gone with that one, Pez. But that was a nice little collect for me, Pez. A return of $155. So nice way to start the season.
Yep. Well, the next one, as we know, was Carlton versus Richmond. My 3-leg same-game multi couldn't get up just due to Richmond being incompetent and not being able to hold a 15-point lead at 3/4 time. So the bonus, as I said, and the 3-leg same-game multi, no go.
No go for you, Pez. As I mentioned on last week, I was pretty confident with the Blues to be able to get it done and Vossi to keep their momentum for I don't know, from his Brisbane playing days. That's about the only thing I can refer on that. But I put them at the line, and of course, we've already mentioned, they won. So a nice little $47.50 for the round, Pez. And that's me talking about my wins done.
There's all your wins. Only Red Cross is coming up, but we'll on this podcast Source, we take ownership of everything that we do. So the next game is St Kilda versus Collingwood. I had the free money, which I thought was free money. I got nervous after the 8th goal was kicked. But this is Max King to kick one of the first 10 goals of the match. He ended up kicking the 9th, and I was sweating bullets a little bit, but $25 there, double it up. So I got my 50 back.
Yeah, Pez, your Saints were a little bit disappointing, Pez. And as I said in the opening of the show, Collingwood led the whole game, which means 2 of my legs were already eliminated. I had them to be up at halftime, them to win the game. Of course, they didn't. The Gresham bet of 15 plus was absolute money for Jam. He had 24, but no good when the other 2 miss out, Pez. So a big 0 for me and a nice little red cost there.
Definitely not. And Geelong, Essendon, I see you've got to steer clear there, Source, which Finster on Twitter was very surprised about because you usually jump all over Geelong. And this was kind of heartbreaking for me, Source. If you look at the bet slip there, it's got a 5-leg same-game multi, paying $5.75, 4 ticks and 1 little void, which is Jeremy Cameron to kick 3 or more goals. He kicked 2 goals in, first 10 minutes and then went off to hospital with a collision there. So he definitely would have kicked his 3 the way Geelong were playing, and I would have got my cheeky up. But I haven't lost a cheeky this year. They voided it and gave me my $10 back.
Well, that's not bad at all, Pez. You're right. It would have been very disappointed for you considering he had 2.5 basically before half time because there was one that was I think it was touched off the boot or just it got reviewed and got changed. So you would have been spewing about that. But
yeah, don't remind me about it.
Yep, cool. Let's move on then. Let's get on to the Sydney versus GWS game. I was pretty confident with the Swans pairs. I had Sydney head to head. I had Sydney minus 9.5. That minus 0.5 at the quarter time line, and Jason McInerney to get 20. He just missed out on his 20, and of course the Swans didn't lead at half. So again, my 1 out of 3 ain't bad, but it is bad when it's a red cross.
That's pretty bad. And I noticed you did it with Sportsbet, so you probably wouldn't have got a bonus bet anyway. All right, so tab here, I had Sydney head-to-head tick, Sydney first half result, which is where I lost out, and the Sydney minus 2.5, which would have been a tick. So 2 out of 3 legs, got my bonus bet, and I used my bonus bet a little bit later, and I used it very effectively, Source. So when we get to that, I'll mention that. The next game was Brisbane versus Port Adelaide. I had Brisbane head-to-head. Brisbane in the first quarter line minus 2.5. They came out well in the first quarter, and Brisbane first quarter result, which was just to give me to make that a 3-legger, and $25 turned into $56.25 with that green tick.
Yeah, well, Brisbane's slow start and trailing for most of the game didn't help me with my bet pairs. I had them at the line at minus 13.5. A little unlucky that they couldn't actually snag a couple of late goals when Port Adelaide were depleted and injured and they were storming home. That halftime goal by Joe Danaher actually is quite costly, but there are a few that obviously can go either way, but that's a red cross for me, pairs with them obviously winning by 11, so missing out by 3.
So that one hurts because it's a max 50 there, and it was very, very winnable with lots of different things throughout the game. The next game was Hawthorn versus North Melbourne. I ended up using my bonus bet from the Sydney game, Source, in this one. I put a 5-legger on. It ended up being $4.50 odds. We had North Melbourne plus 31.5. I didn't think they'd get blown out by more than that. Under 179.5. Pick your own total. Jack Dunstan to kick a goal. Nervous at the start because he kept kicking behinds, but he got there in the end. Luke Davis-Uniacke, 20 disposals, easy. And Jack Scrimshaw left me sweating into the last couple of minutes when he picked up one inside 50 to get his 20th disposal and give me another green tick, 112.50. Thank you very much.
Yeah, nice little, well done there, Pez, on that, the alternate lines and those pick your own lines as well, obviously. Nice big win for you there, Pez. Unfortunately, I used my, spoiler alert, I lost my multi by 1, that's $25, but I did get a bonus bet, which I used in advance on the Hawthorn North Melbourne game. And I was all over the Jason Horn-Francis pairs. I was watching the game beforehand, and I bit into all the Fox footy hype and all this. I had him to snag a goal, which he did in the second quarter. Him to get 15 or more, he ended up with 13. A couple of opportunities. And one thing I've noticed from the young fella, a couple of opportunities where he actually stopped and played for the free kick. He needs to make sure he gets that out of his system because he's not going to be winning the ball with that. And I had Hugh Greenwood. I thought him going across clubs and the bargain that North Melbourne had, he could have got 20. He finished with 17, but similar sort of stuff, Bez. Just around the ball and couldn't get his hands on it. They got opened up in that fourth quarter, which definitely didn't help me. So another red across for me there, Pez, but no money lost. I'd already lost that before.
You already lost that in the multi that you speak about coming up. The next game was Adelaide Fremantle. This was a definite steer clear for mine, but I lost my multi as well by 1 leg. So I had a $25 bonus bet. I couldn't believe my eyes when Adelaide were into favourites. I didn't think Fremantle win by 40 plus, so I put bonus bet on Fremantle 1 to 39 at $2.60. And I thought I'd lost it at one stage, but Fremantle came back somehow, won by a point. So I'll take the $40 I get from that and go from there.
Yeah, super disappointing with mine, Pez. I had the $10 cheeky at the end that I just narrowly lost. Really disappointing that it didn't get up. The biggest leg in that one was actually the Gold Coast to minus 10.5, pick your own line, and that got up pretty easy, them winning by 27. Unfortunately, what let me down was their first quarter. I had them to win the first quarter line by, what did I have it as, minus 5.5, and I had the total game points over 155, which I got easy with 180, so lost that $10 cheeky bet, Pez, but I did use that bonus this week in our bet slip coming up soon.
Yeah, it also had first quarter by nearly 3 goals there, the Gold Coast Suns. So you chose the wrong quarter there, Source, unlucky. And the multi, as we said, I think, did both of us just miss out on St Kilda?
Yeah, St Kilda let us down, Pez. I had the Cats, the Swans, and the Lions all getting it done, but your Saints, bit disappointing.
Yeah, well, I had the D's, the Swans, and the Lions get it done. It cost me 170 there, and it cost you 176. So we'll need to start hitting some of those multis and really get that profit flying in. Speaking of profit, let's get into our bet slip.
The fact
that the size of the bets was relatively small.
Now Betts with an opportunity about 50 metres out.
I was with a mate, and we were getting sort of ready to leave, and he said, I think I'm going to whack 10 on Maxi. Do you want some as well? And I said,
Oh, yes! Yes! Yes!
All right, Pez, this is the opportunity to be able to make some of that money back I lost in round one, and you continue to grow your kitty, Pez. But as we always do, let's start off our bet slip with this week's specials.
Cyril takes a special and goes bang.
And I think the intern that we've hired, Source, someone needs to hire this person full time and pay them a bit of money, because the graphic on Twitter at Behind the Bound is absolutely fantastic. So if you want to find out the betting specials in the coming week, in the coming round, at Behind the Bound on Twitter comes out every week before the round starts. So you get to put your money where it's best suited and get to take advantage of these bookies. Let's have a look at what we've got. We've got Sportsbet. They've got the 3+ leg same game AFL multi double winnings in bonus bets on Thursday and Friday matches. They've also got this one, which is my favorite of the round, and we both benefited from it last week, Source, the 4-leg AFL multi. 1 or 2 legs fail out of it, you get a bonus bet back up to $50. So I'm sure we've both got that this week. We moved down to Tab, and this one, they had it last week in a game. They've got it again. Bulldogs versus Blues, 3-leg same game multi. If it doesn't win, $50 back. So you can get all 3 legs wrong, and you're still going to get a bonus bet back. So you can take advantage of that. They've got from Friday to Sunday, they've got the same game multi special, 3 or 4 legs, 1 leg fails, get bonus bet back up to 50. And if you like longer multis with 5, 6, 7+ legs, you can actually get more to fail and still get a bonus bet back. Now, points bet, I had to actually ask somebody else, ask a friend to go to their points bet account, because on my points bet account it just says there are no specials for you, which is very, very rude of them. But you've got $3 for the Demons to win, Petracca to kick 1+ goals. Please let us know at Behind the Bound if you're banned from points bet, because I'm sure everyone's banned now. But you can also get $3 Buddy to kick 2+ goals against Geelong. You get $4 for Bailey Smith and Petracca V Cripps to both kick a goal in their game as well. Now, a new one that I've added in here, Source, or sorry, not me, our intern. We've got the money ball, and we spoke about it last week with Max King to kick one of the first 10. This time, it's Buddy to kick one of the first 5 goals in the match. It's paying $5, but the max bet is only $10. So they're going to be doing this for a couple of things, but that might interest a few of you, especially if you've got a Moneyball account there. Now we go Bet365. They got the multi-bet offer, so you can get 65% more. They, not a company to do a lot of specials. Sometimes they'll do the lead by a ridiculous amount and will pay you out. Now Ladbrokes and Neds, the same company here, Source. They started with $2 lines. They didn't know Behind the Boundary was going to put out this graphic. So today they've put out the same game AFL multi on Neds every game. And they've also got an early payout. So your team leads by 20 at halftime, they'll pay you out. And Lads have the same 3-leg same game multi because they are the same company. There you go. Check it out at Behind the Bound. That beautiful graphic we've got up there.
Yeah, great graphic, Pez. Was the intern hired from Fig Jam Incorporated, or was it just somewhere else?
No, well, it wasn't me. So
Flogger Incorporated, was it then? Was it? Sorry,
no,
did you have to stuttered your words there, Pez? Was it you or?
It wasn't me. So I don't know. This young phenom.
All right, we'll move. We'll move away from Shaggy over there. Wasn't me, and we'll get on to the reason that all the listeners are here, Pez, is to get in to hear our bets and to hear some of the advice and how the game might unfold. So we start things off with Western Bulldogs taking on Carlton, 7:20 at Marvel Stadium. The Bulldogs going favourites at $1.59. The Carlton Blues, the outsiders, at $2.32. The line for this game, Pez, is $1.90, and that gets you 8.5 points. And the over/under total points is at 159.5, Pez. So can the Blues make it 2 in a row, or will the Doggies bounce back after last week's surprise loss? Because a lot of you speak to any Footscray fan, and they were going to go undefeated.
Well, definitely not a surprise loss, but yeah, both clubs coming from a separate thing. My view on this one is all over the Western Bulldogs here to bounce back from a loss, and a lot of it's due to the health and safety protocols at Carlton. Source, you got Michael Voss, who's got COVID. He won't be able to coach from the box. You've got Adam Chera, health and safety protocol, the big recruit there. Jack Martin, health and safety protocol. He played a good fourth quarter last week, and they've omitted Tom Williamson as well. Lockie Fogarty and Sam Walsh comes in. So Sam Walsh comes in, but they do lose Chera there. The Bulldogs, they've omitted Josh Shackey, which will help their forward structure and be able to move the ball up forward a little bit cleaner and take advantage of those small forwards. Bailey Smith is a big injury for them as well. Bailey Williams has been omitted. Taylor Dre, Anthony Scott comes in. As I said, the Bulldogs here source. What I've done is you can't go past tab here with the 3-leg same game multi. Any leg loses or all of them lose, you get your bonus bet. So I've gone the Dogs at the line, -8.5. I've picked my own total over 152.3, so 153 total points between both sides. And the halftime line, the Bulldogs -4.5 as well. Those are $3.10 odds. Whack the max 50 on it with hopefully don't have to get a bonus bet back and use that. Hopefully that is just a winner.
Yeah, Pez, totally agree. You can't go past the Bulldogs in this one, but you can go past Tab, Pez, because I've gone over to Sportsbet with their 4-leg same game multi, and of course one or two legs fail and you get bonus back bet for that one. I agree. I think the Dogs going to be too strong. There's too many inconsistencies with Carlton and their coaching staff. They're not going to be able to. We will have been through. We've been through Zoom meetings last year, Pez, and you think that work meetings bad on Zoom. Try and being in a room full of football boys and Vossi on the big screen. That's not going to be pleasant at all. So the Carlton Blues are going to be a little bit disrupted. But I do have a bet for the game, Pez, of course. I've gone with Sportsbet, and I've used the bet return, Pez. Now, I know that not all punters have it, and just like you and I are banned from PointsBet, I've still allowed for the bet return, so I take advantage while I've got it. I've used a $25 bet on Aaron Norton to kick the most goals, and this is the reason I went with Sportsbet, is because Tab unfortunately don't offer the most goals market included in their multi. So I've gone Aaron Norton most goals, George Hewitt to get 20, Sam Doherty get 20, and Zach Williams with no Chera in there, probably sneak in to get a couple more disposals. That gives me odds of $6.25, Pez, and I, as I said, whacked $25 on it.
Yeah, so on the Bulldogs as well, I don't know how your bet returns work, but hopefully the listeners do. But that's Thursday night footy, and the next one is a massive clash of Friday night footy.
Yeah, really huge game, Pez, on the Friday night. As you mentioned, we head over to New South Wales, Pez. We head to the SCG, of course, the home of the Sydney Swans, who are taking on the Geelong Cats. Sydney Swans going favourites at $1.70. Geelong, the outsiders, at $2.15. The line for this game, Pez, is -3.5, favouring the Swans, and the over-under is quite low, I think, at 145.5, Pez. Can the Swans and the Geelong team, which team comes unbeaten at the end of this game?
Well, it's very hard to read the Cats this week, isn't it? After playing against the Witches Hats that are the Essendon Footy Club, it's a little bit strange. Sydney had to fight hard against GWS, and you don't know where these teams are at. So this will be a good one. You've got Sydney favourite probably because they're at home. Probably because Buddy's closing in on 1,000 goals and they're actually quite healthy. Geelong are as well. Jeremy Cameron should get up. Is that the news you're hearing throughout the week?
It depends, Pez. Like he's got that back and hip, that hip where he's going to be testing. I don't think he'll get up. I think Geelong will play it safe. And being rushed off to hospital with a potential hip injury, I think they'll play it safe this early in the season, especially with his history last year, I think.
This would definitely be a steer clear for me, Source, but I did see the Moneyball special and it's a 10 and it'd be rude not to put my cheeky 10 on it. So, cheeky.
Oh, sorry, mate. The cheeky.
Cheeky!
My apologies.
I don't have the button on my end, but there's the cheeky. Buddy Franklin to kick any of the first 5 goals. Paying $5. That's cheeky enough for me.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Pez. It definitely is cheeky at $5. I agree that this normally would be a steer clear game for me. There's too many uncertainties this early on. In the preseason, you heard me talk about Geelong, and there's too many uncertainties about how they're going to play. Patrick Dangerfield looked amazing, must I say, coming into that middle. It's good to see him really healthy. I think Sydney going to this game, the healthier team. Gary Rowan's still the test. Menegola's still a test. And, of course, Jeremy Cameron might not get up. I totally agree, Pez. I think that $5 value and Lance Franklin to kick one of the 5 goals At home, only being 4 off 1,000. I think the Swans will want to get him that 1,000 goals in Sydney and a packed out SCG. So I've put $10 on that one as well.
You saying we got the same bet?
We do, Pez, but mine's not cheeky. I've gone cheekier a little bit later.
All right, fair enough. I didn't let you in on the Max King special last week.
No, you
so
didn't.
I thought, we let all the fans know, and everyone's on Buddy this week to go from there.
And if you'd let me know, Pez, I would have jumped on it. I jumped on it in my personal, and I would have been up for the round. So that's on you.
Yeah, well, we're not a team here. We don't share our bets with each other.
No,
so,
you're right. We don't
play by the rules.
We do play, or sometimes we play by the rules. Depends which week it is and how good the betting is. All right, Pez, let's get on to the Collingwood versus Adelaide game. This game is played in Melbourne at the G. It'll be good to see a packed out crowd because the lid is off down in Collingwood, Pez. We have the Magpies coming in favourites at $1.36, which I find a little bit surprising, and the Adelaide Crows, the outsiders, at $3.30. The line is 19.5, of course, favouring the Magpies, and the over-under total points 164.5. Pez, can Collingwood make it 2 on the trot, or will Adelaide cause an upset?
Yeah, at the MCG, I can't see it happening with Adelaide after the way they let Fremantle come back into the game. Collingwood look like they want to take the game on a little bit. Side bottom still looks good coming off the half back line. Pendlebury's moved down to the half back line as well. You got Adams in the middle. You got DeGoey who can go up forward, kick some goals. Hopefully they omit Big Mason Cox, and then it's a definite win. But I've gone with Tab, and I've fallen in love with Tab this week, Source, the 3-leg same-game multi. And I've taken advantage of it in different ways in my next 4 bets. In this one, I've got Patrick Lipinski to get 15 disposals. He's quite good odds there, and he got 30 last week. I've put Collingwood, pick your own line, the maximum pick your own line at plus 10.5. And there's a reason I've done that. I've also put my main bet, which is Collingwood to win 1-39 in there. All up, that gets me $2.30 odds. If I didn't put the pick your own line plus 10.5 Source, it'd still give me $2.30 odds, but it wouldn't give me the opportunity to get that bonus back. So for example, Collingwood win by 40 or more, Lipinski gets 15, I would still get a bonus bet. If Adelaide win between 1 and 10, Lipinski gets 15, I would still get a bonus bet. So I'm giving myself more opportunity with less risk.
Yeah, it's always smart to play the odds game, Pez, and making sure you're giving every opportunity to snag a bonus bet and a little bit of insurance, as we like to call it. I'm a little bit surprised in the odds for this one, Pez, because as we said, Collingwood, you had Voss as the more impressive win. And it was an impressive win. Collingwood were impressive, but I think that they came up against a bit of a depleted side. They didn't have their proper ruckman in there, and they're a little bit slow. We know St Kilda can be a little bit up and down. Adelaide, on the other hand, were a 1 point away from a team that most people have fighting for a top 8 squad, and a really impressive performance by Adelaide. And I think they'll keep this close, Pez. I tend to agree the 1-39, but I've gone something a little bit different. I've stayed with Tab, the 3-leg same-game multi. 1 leg fails, and of course I have that insurance. I've gone pick your own line over 148.5, which is the lowest one you can do there. I think it will be a high-scoring affair either way. Adelaide plus 19.5, Pez. I think that they can keep it pretty close. And Ben Keys, really great odds at $1.15 to be able to get 20 or more disposals. He's our main man, Pez. He had 30 last week, and he'll keep up that trend. That gives me odds of $2.80, and I've put 25 on that one.
Yeah, the nice 25 and the little 3-legger, very, very good. I'm excited to get into the next few games because my bets are a very, very nice Source. We've got Essendon coming up against the Brisbane Lions.
It's quite rare to hear you talk about your bet slip like this, Pez. So I'm looking forward to these bets, and punters, make sure that you jump on because it's very rare. Normally I'm the one that's saying how much I like my bet slip, and don't get me wrong, love my bet slip. But Pez in the pregame had a bit of I love my own bet slip, so looking forward to the bets, Pez. And we start things off on the Saturday afternoon time slot. Essendon Bombers taking on the Brisbane Lions at Marvel Stadium. Hopefully the Bombers can have a better performance, a more spirited performance than they did against the Cats. But the bookies don't think so. They have them outsiders at $2.76. The Brisbane Lions favourite at $1.45. The line for this game is minus 16.5 in favour of the Lions. And the total game points, Pez, over 169.5. So, can Essendon bounce back after a disappointing round 1?
No, not against the Brisbane Lions, Source. Brisbane Lions way too strong here. I love the line, and I even love the line that I didn't get 16.5. I got 17.5 source, so I'm not even worried about that extra point there. So Brisbane to win by 3+ goals over 143.5. Pick your own line. So I've taken that down from the normal one. I think Brisbane can nearly get that by themselves, and Ed Essence help a little bit to be able to do that. And then my little safety, my little insurance, Brisbane plus 16.5. And some people will look at it and they'll go, you got Brisbane minus 17.5, you got Brisbane plus 16.5. Why in the hell would you do it? The listeners at Behind the Boundary would be able to let everyone know.
Yep, the insurance is what we're all over, Pez. That's what you're over. That's a great bet, Pez. Love that bet. I agree. The lines will be way too strong. I've gone a 3-leg same-game multi, Pez. I've gone Brisbane head-to-head. As I said, I think they'll win pretty easy. I've gone over 143.5. Pick your own total. That's a 20-point discrepancy to what the bookies are offering you, so I love that. And the thing that I love best about this bet, Pez, is it's a little bit
Cheeky.
with my last leg. I've gone Joe Danaher against his old side, against a stadium that he's familiar with in Marvel.
Doesn't he?
I've gotten him to 5+ goals, and that gives me odds of $7.50, Pez, and I've whacked 10 on it. As I said last week, he had 9 scoring shots, and he came away with 4 goals, 3. Should have had 5 goals, 3, and an extra scoring shot, but he decided to handball it off. Pez, love this bet. I think this is money for VBs.
Yeah, well, interesting. We picked the same total as well, 143. I don't know if I mentioned, but I've put a max bet on it as well. So we're all over the Brisbane Lions, and hopefully this isn't one of those upsets that no one sees coming.
Yeah, Pez, I don't even think the Essendon faithful will see that one coming. They were really disappointing, and talking to a couple tonight, shout out to the boys at Indoor Footy. They are well off them. They actually said that round 1 starts this week, Pez, not last week. They already erased it from their memory.
Oh, don't worry. They'll soon be talking about the 16 cups they got in the cupboard. That's usually what they fall to.
Hopefully it's round 3 after they've had 0-2 start, Pez, and they get blown out by the Lions. But let's get on to our Saturday night clash. 2 weeks in a row, the Port Adelaide Power are hosting the Saturday night clash. The AFL obviously has a big investment in them. And why not? After a pretty spirited performance before they were hitting that fourth quarter, they come in favourites at $1.24 against Hawthorn Hawks, who are outsiders at $4.10. The line for this game, Pez, is minus 24.5, and the total game points, Pez, it is 160.5. So, can the Hawthorn Hawks keep the streak alive at 2 games?
Yeah, I think a very high chance that they do not keep that streak alive. I know Port Adelaide, had some injury concerns last week during the game, but they'll go back home. They'll play against Hawthorn Hawks, who, are a bottom 4 side. And I've put through tab my little 3-game with insurance. My insurance line is Port Adelaide plus 10.5. I've put the game total up to 180, and I've gone under. So under 180.5. I don't think Hawthorn score high enough to allow that to happen, even if Port Adelaide score really, really highly. And I've gone the margin source. I've gone Port Adelaide 40+ here at home. They've come off a loss. They need to, in front of their fans, playing against the bottom feeders in Hawthorn. $3.60 odds, put 25 on it, hoping for a big Port Adelaide win.
I'm hoping for another cracker, Pez, on the Saturday night because I'm steering clear in this game. I am pretty confident in Port Adelaide. I'm a little bit worried about how some of those injuries and some of those, that mindsets after that big win for Hawthorn are. So I'm steering clear of this one, Pez. The first one of the round, which is good news for punters because they might be able to relax from all the winnings that they've got from my first 4 bets.
Well, we were on track to go a record. We might have had 20 bets in here, but you've decided to steer clear. That's all right. We'll move along.
Yeah, and it might be a trend that continues, Pez, because the next game we've got the Gold Coast Suns, the Graveyard. They head back home to the Graveyard, but it might be a little bit more lively after a nice win out west. They come in outsiders against the Melbourne Demons, $4.95. You can get the Suns at absolute value after to go 2-0, Pez, against the Premiers. I like those odds. The favourites, of course, are Melbourne at $1.18. The line for this game, Pez, is minus 22.5, so quite a big line for the reigning premiers to get it done. And the total game points for this one, Pez, 156.5. So can the Graveyard shake that tag, Pez, and can it be party town up in the Gold Coast?
No, definitely not. I love the $1.29 you can get on Melbourne this week, but unfortunately, I'm trying to stick by the rules this season. I usually go over, but we've got our limit, and I ran out of money in all my other bets, so I've steered clear from this game for that reason. But I love the price you can get on Melbourne head-to-head here. They don't lose this.
No, I don't think they lose this either, Pez. Might be a few people that go the Gold Coast for the loser tip, though. Be a little bit mindful of our man, Rankine, who has a really great game last week. I'm sure he'll be up and about on the Gold Coast, but you can't possibly go and back anything on Gold Coast, and that's what I've done, Pez. I've steered clear from this game. All right, let's get on to the Sunday game, Pez. We are going to a really interesting game here. I think this is a really winnable game for both clubs. We have, of course, the North Melbourne, who have resumed the 1:10 Sunday time slot, which they will have for the next couple of years, I think. They're taking on the West Coast Eagles at Marvel Stadium. The odds for this game...
Eagles.
Sorry?
The West Coast Evil.
Yeah, well, they will be evil if they come into Melbourne, Pez, and steal a victory over North Melbourne. They will be counting the chocolates, and they'll be very hopeful for this one. North Melbourne, $2.15 outsiders. The West Coast Eagles, $1.70 favourites. The line for this one is -5.5, and the over-under is 162.5. Pez, can North Melbourne get a win in the opening 2 rounds?
Oh, they definitely can, but, so can West Coast, because this is a game where the bookies are just trying to tempt you with whatever you think in this 50-50 type game. I'll give you $2 and a little bit for North. We'll give you $1.70 for West Coast. They've been a strong side in the past. They're trying to tempt because they want lots of money on this game, because no one knows who the hell is going to win this. And if I've got absolutely no idea who I'm even going to tip source, I'm not going to put any of my hard-earned on it either. So steer clear for me.
Yeah, steer clear for me as well, Pez. I don't mind North Melbourne. They looked pretty lively. I just think West Coast may have a little bit of experience, and they, I think that's the only reason I have a little bit of reservation, is because despite their injuries, they still are going to be the senior team. They'll want to get a victory where they can, because there's not going to be too many of them coming around. And losing last week to Gold Coast in Perth, look out for West Coast to bounce back. So that's why, as you said, if you don't know who's going to win, how can you bet on it? So steering clear for me as well, Pez. All right, let's get into the next game. This will be an absolute cracker. The 3:20 Sunday time slot, Richmond versus GWS. Richmond are the opening favourites at $1.87. Of course, this game is at the G. That's the only place that Richmond play. GWS are the outsiders at $1.95. Pez, for this game, the line is close. It is 1.5 points, Pez, and the over-under total points is 169. So what is going to happen in this grand final repeat from a couple of years ago?
Wow, this is a very intriguing game for me. You got nearly even money, nearly pick'em source. Richmond, who struggled in the last quarter, but they did have a 15-point lead over Carlton, and the Giants, they also had a lead against Sydney and coughed that up as well. So which team can play 4 quarters? We said in the preseason show source that Richmond will struggle to keep a couple of their players on the field, like Dion Prestia, and he went on the ice with the hamstring last Thursday night, which was no good. But Richmond, with Tom Lynch, Jack Reward up forward, a few other players in their midfield, Jaden Short in the back line, they're at the G, and the Giants start with G, and they've got Toby Green, their captain, whose surname starts with G, but he's not going to be there. So if he's not going to be there, they don't like the G as in the MCG. 1 out of 3 Gs ain't good enough for me. So I'm going to go with Richmond. All right. So I think Richmond are going to win this. I've got my little tab, same game multi. Richmond plus 34.5, pick your own line. Total game points under 190.5. I don't think that it'll be very, very high scoring. And Richmond head to head. So $25 on that. That's $2.30 odds. There we go.
Yeah, Pez, I'll add a G to that. Oh, geez. That is terrible. I don't know what you're going on about there, Pez. I'm all over GWS there. I actually think they'll win this game. And if you pop over to Ned's, you can get, if you think they're going to win, $1.95 is good odds, Pez. But what's even better is the plus 1.5 line at $2. So I've whacked 25 on the Giants. I think they can get it done. I think they were, super impressive last week, and they can definitely put on a show against the Tigers. As you said, some little bit of injury concerns there, and I think they get the job done at the MCG. The G's in GWS Giants will get the victory, Pez, so they'll get the W, which will mix up your little alphabet soup that you're creating over there.
Well, the G closer to G is L, so they'll go with the L instead of the W and give the W to Richmond because R is closer to W. So there's a little bit to think about.
Yeah, thank God we don't run a spelling podcast, Pez. That would be boring as all batshit. All right, let's get on to the last game of the round 2. And we head over, Pez, to another stadium that involves a lot of letters. I'm not talking about Optus Stadium, of course, our favourite venue in Perth, SBS Stadium. For listeners out there who are a long-time fans of the show, they'll understand that joke, and I'm not going to be boring you with any more spelling details. But of course, I'm talking about the Fremantle game taking on your Saints, Pez. The bookies have Fremantle favoured at $1.48, your Saints outsiders at $2.66. The line for this game, Pez, minus 13.5 in favour of the Dockers. And the total game points, Pez, is at 163.5. Mate, are your Saints going to bounce back after a disappointing round 1?
Oh, you don't know. Over there at SBS, I've absolutely got no clue. We know Paddy Ryder's coming back in the VFL, so he won't be in the side. St Kilda, you couldn't stick a tackle last week. You were kicking the ball trying to hit Marvel Stadium's roof going inside 50. So if they do anything like that, they'll get smashed by the Dockers, who are playing at home. But I think the odds are correct there. $1.48 to $1.66 in favour of Fremantle. Steer clear for me. They're not in my multi. I'm staying away from that game. Getting as far away from it as I can, and I'm in Victoria there in Western Australia. There you go.
Yeah, Pez, good move there. I agree. It's going to be a hard one there. The Saints really could have used Paddy Ryder last week, but they could definitely use him against Fremantle. I'm steering clear as well, Pez, but I hope they don't get belted because I've included something related to that game in my multi, so hopefully they can keep it close. We, of course, finished for all the betting for the round. Who have you got in your multi, Pez?
Yeah, my multi. I love my multi this week. As I said, I love my bet slip. My multi is a 5-legger. So I've used the sports bet 4+ legs. And if 1 or 2 legs fail, you get your money back here. So I've gone the Western Bulldogs, who I think will beat Carlton. We've got Collingwood, who will beat Adelaide. Brisbane will beat Essendon. Port Adelaide will beat Hawthorn. And Melbourne will beat Gold Coast. $5.05, $25 on it. There we go.
Nice. Like it. Nice, Pez, and it's probably a good one to like when you pick all the favourites. So, really stepped out of your comfort zone there, Pez. I've gone in my multi. I've gone with Tab, and I saw something during the week on Twitter that I didn't mind, and I've picked up a bit of a variation and incorporated some of that into my bet slip. You go over to Tab, and they've got a nice little bet, the try bets, Pez, the minus 15.5, the minus 24.5, and the minus 39.5. I think there'll be a few games this week that are quite close. So I've gone Collingwood versus Adelaide, either team to win by less than 24.5 points. Of course, I've gone Adelaide with the line in my personal bet, so I think that'll be pretty close. North Melbourne versus the Eagles. We don't know who's going to win, but I know that it's not going to be by over 39.5 points. So either of those teams to win by less than that, and I am still on track to clear a nice big multi. Richmond GWS as well. I think the game will be close. Either team under 39.5. And Pez, as you said, hopefully your Saints don't get blown out because I've gone that game as well. Either team to win by 39.5 points. Put 25 on it, Pez. Gives me great odds of $4.04, and I've whacked 25 on it.
Yeah, I didn't keep up with that, if I'm going to be honest. I'll have to see the graphic when it comes out to have a look at what that is because I've got no clue what you're doing.
Yeah, cool. Basically, all of those games, the winner to be 24.5 under either team to win, and the rest of the games, North, Richmond, Fremantle, those games to be 39.5 is the total winnings points.
Yeah, wonderful. That sounds absolutely fantastic. I think we'll close it up there. There goes the bet slips. Make sure you jump on at Behind the Bound on Twitter because everything goes up there and you can get involved with the pod.
Yeah, make sure you jump on all your favoured podcast providers. Leave us a 5-star review. That's how other fans can find us, as well as leaving your feedback in the comments. Pez, wrap things up for us.
Well, that's it. It's Wednesday night. Well, it's just ticked over midnight, so this will be out for your Thursday morning commute to work. Nothing better than listening to Behind the Boundary before the round, ready to go. And for those of you listening after the round and just having a cheeky laugh at Source's bets because they all got crosses and going, yep, Pez is seeing the green grass on this side. It'll be really, really good. So best of luck with your punts in any AFL competitions you are in. I'm Pez. Peace out.
I'm still Sauce. We'll catch up next time, guys. And as always, if you're having a punt, bet responsibly.